This is the one you want to give to everybody, and in a perfect world, this is the one you want to give to a stadium of 100,000 people. There's 3 types of frameworks you guys can use with your talk. The first type of keynote is a direct keynote. So you guys may know it as an evergreen pitch deck or a deal-specific pitch deck. That is effectively like an evergreen talk on your deal, or the evergreen pitch deck is like an evergreen talk on your deal. It goes without saying that you guys need to have your pitch nailed, in the context of, here's my 10 slides, here's my 20 slides, here's my practice pitch night. I show up every week, I practice it, I retain it. This is the one that everybody is like an absolute no-brainer. This is the one you want to give to everybody. And in a perfect world, this is the one you want to give to a stadium of 100,000 people. The problem is nobody wants to hear this presentation unless they're super qualified and interested in what you're doing. So from a funnel perspective, this pitch is only applicable to maybe a very small percentage of people, whether you're giving it one-on-one at a kitchen table in a small group setting, you've been invited to pitch your deal, something along those lines. I just want to make you aware of that's the first one. So you have a direct keynote for your deal. The evergreen pitch deck is probably the best example of that. It's something that we teach as a baseline for everybody that comes into M1. Like, memorize your pitch, remove the deal, just tell the story of the deal without a deal. That's your direct one. So by the way, any marketing material, anything you have around this one obviously needs to be vetted by your lawyer. So make sure you have legal approval on this one, because this is effectively a direct solicitation. So that's what you're doing. You're literally raising capital in front of an audience. So all these documents have to be highly scrutinized. Make sure you do them correct. The second one we're going to cover is indirect. So an indirect keynote is typically problem and solution based. So you'll introduce a problem that your potential client is facing, and you'll walk through a narrative and a story on why that problem matters to them and how what you do is the solution. That's the indirect model. Now, I know you guys do this with your RSPs. If you're tired of the stock market, if you're tired of the volatility, if you want more predictable returns, things like this, that's identifying a problem and offering a solution. You don't have to be very strong at being able to position yourself as an expert yet. You just have to be able to clearly identify the problem that you're solving for somebody and how you got to the solution yourself. So in other words, you guys tell the story about how you guys transition your savings, your RSPs into private mortgages. Some of you have versions of that, why you guys transitioned to Florida, the problem you guys are solving for your family. So some examples of problem solution that I did is how we saved $5 million on our last property. Recession at your doorstep. Recession at your doorstep. So in other words, I'm identifying an issue that people are concerned about, and then it's like, so here's what I'm doing, or here's what other people are doing. So it's a really easy talk. This is the one that is going to get you guys onto podcasts, and it's going to allow you to soft sell, your story with the solution in a very concise, value-add driven way. The limitations of this talk is that is not going to do well on very large stages or very large platforms. So for example, when I spoke at Best Ever, they're just like, who cares? Because everybody can talk like this. Not everybody, but a lot of people know how to do this type of a talk. Again, if you're new to this is the first one you guys master. And just by mastering this, you'll be able to get on podcasts, speak at meetup groups, get invited to all kinds of opportunities. People will introduce you. They'll start to look at you as a thought leader, because you're connecting a problem that's out there with a way that you've tangibly identified how to deal with it. So you start to separate yourself from just pitching a deal to, hey, this is happening in the world, and that's why we're doing this. And that's a really good frame for all of us as a backdrop to everything else. The third one, and I'll kind of touch on this one if need be, is a value add. So in a value add, this is extremely hard to pull off, because a value add, you're totally untethered from what you actually do. And you're theoretically talking about something that you're an expert in. Think about a TED Talk. Have any of you guys seen a TED Talk? Okay, you never see at the end of a TED Talk, hey, so here's my QR code if you'd like to learn more about animal husbandry or how to be a better husband or how to buy an apartment. They never say stuff like that. A TED Talk is just pure value. That's all a TED Talk is. There is literally no connection to what you do other than because you do this, you have this massive insight into this whole other world, And because of the fact that you're here, you can speak on neurology, or you can speak on, childhood development patterns, or whatever it is. Like, because you have such a strong frame in a specific area, you're naturally invited to share your thoughts, theories, ideas on something contextual. Just sharing with you guys what a value add talk is hard to do. So imagine trying to deliver one, right? Like, it's hard to do. Like, the one I delivered, and you guys have a copy of it, this is the one I did the best ever. So it was 6 steps to building a brand that attracts investors on autopilot. And this is the thing that had people chasing me out of the room, just up and down like, literally after the event for the next 2 days, I couldn't take 6 steps. Like, it was just everybody all the time. And I was on stage for 20, 25 minutes. That's not even a lot of time. So a value add talk, like, think about the TED Talks, the ones they have 15 or 18 minutes, and you have to deliver, like, you guys have seen that movie Inception, right? A dream within a dream within a dream. Like you got to do some like Inception level mind stuff with people. Like, you have to talk on so many different levels to be at a TED Talk, but that's why they resonate so well, because you're interconnecting so many things. So this is why I don't recommend any of you try to do this one as your starting point, because it's not going to land with your investors. It's going to frustrate you, and you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. Even if you land this talk and it's fantastic, because you don't have the other talks in place, you probably don't have the systems in place to actually nurture those contacts with something real. So it's like somebody who blows up on the internet and they have 1 billion views on a video of them catching a Frisbee, and then everybody Googles them. Well, they have nothing to plug into, so all of a sudden you just forget about them because there's nothing else there, right? So there's people that accidentally become that thought leader, but because there's nothing else, they just fizzle away. Whereas the natural way to do it is to build up from your initial pitch, tie your pitch to your actual indirect talk, to eventually, if you want to have a massive impact in front of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, you have to have that value add. But the value add thing, like, I'd been working on mine for 4 or 5 years. Like, it just doesn't, you don't just wake up one day and go, oh, that's what it is. Like, it's a reiterative process.